breaks. You're back to the show. Now, Chana, I want to know, what exactly can we do to break this jinx? Is it a case of the African coaches not knowing exactly what to do when it comes to certain moments in a particular game? Or is it the mentality of the African teams not being able to hold on for 90 minutes to see out a game? And also maturity and experience. Are all of these things the factors that made Africa, or rather that make Africa look bad on the world stage?
I wouldn't say it's an African coach's thing, because Morocco we praised today still has an African coach. The Moroccan team that was at the World Cup semi-final 4 years ago was coached by an African. The current Moroccan coach is also coached by a Moroccan. So it's not an African coach's thing. It's about the individual coach. And I think maybe they got overwhelmed by the moment, not knowing when to manage the game properly. Yes, you are 2 goals up. We had 5 minutes to hold a 2-goal lead. You should have managed that game well. You can defend 2 goals in 5 minutes, but the coach somehow did not. So the question is, if I was at that press conference, what I would have been asking was, what was going on in your mind when you made those changes? Was it to score more goals? Was it to hold on to your 2-goal lead? What was going on in your mind? So I wouldn't say it's an African coach's thing. I would say it's about the individual, because we have also had African coaches who have also managed games properly. The coach of DR Congo, who failed to hold a lead against England, is not African, it's European. So it's not about the coach, where the coach comes from. It's about the individual at the moment. And the Senegalese coach did not manage that situation very well at all. And it's quite disappointing, very, very disappointing.
Right, now let's look at the other teams from the continent still at the World Cup, apart from Morocco, who have seeded to the round of 16. There's Ghana, there's Egypt, there's Cape Verde and Algeria. What are expectations from these teams? It looks like Cape Verde, a lot of fans have said they will get beaten from Argentina. Ghana, on the other hand, I think they'll be playing against Colombia. Egypt plays against Australia, and Algeria would also be in action. What are your expectations from these other African teams? Do you see any one of them making it through to the round of 16?
I didn't expect much from Congo, really. But I thought that the South Africans could go through against Canada, but they didn't. I also thought that Senegal could go through against Belgium, but they didn't. And for the remaining 4 games, I think that the African teams there can go through if they hold their own. Well, except, of course, Cape Verde, who are up against Argentina, who are highly tipped to win the World Cup. But I think Algeria can go past the Swiss. I think they can. I also think that Egypt can go past Australia. And I think that Ghana can go past Colombia with their highly defensive approach of the coach, Carlos Queiroz. But again, it's football, and stranger things have happened. It just takes one moment of madness to get a red card. It just takes one moment of madness to make it a substitution that affects you negatively. It just takes one moment of madness to turn a winning position into a losing position, like we saw in the case of Cote d'Ivoire, in the case of DR Congo, and in the case of Senegal. It just takes one moment. But on paper, what do I think? I think out of the 4 African countries left, I think 3 of them actually stand a chance to qualify for the round of 16. They do, but it all depends on what happens in 90 minutes. Can they manage the game properly? And that goes beyond just the coach, also the players. Can they manage the game properly? Then we'll know.
All right, so Pius, what's your take? 3 out of 4, or 4 of them crashing out, or 4 of them making it through?
Well, in me being realistic, I would honestly tell you that I haven't looked at the quality of teams these guys are facing. I think the only team that would that has a chance to progress through to the next stage would be Egypt, because they are playing Australia. I saw Australia's first 3 games in this competition. I think they lost one. They lost to USA, if I'm not mistaken, and like that. They only won one. Okay, the game they only won was against Turkey, which they won 2-0. The other games, they were really, really shambolic. And for Egypt, they probably have a chance. They will probably have a chance because if you take a look at the other guys, Cape Verde against Argentina, they stand no chance, in my opinion. Against Ghana, against Colombia, that's the game. A lot of persons have actually been saying it's 50-50, but I don't think it's 50-50 because Colombia in this competition, we saw how they played against Portugal. In fact, in the group that had Portugal, they finished first. They finished with 7 points. Portugal finished with 5 points. So that tells you a lot. It says a lot. At some point, I mean, controversially, a goal was ruled out in that game. They probably would have even won that game and finished that group with 9 points. That's a group that had Portugal. I've seen the Ghanaians play as well. Maybe here and there, their best game so far was the one against England, where they actually held England to a goalless draw. But apart from that, I probably haven't seen that, spectacular performance that would warrant me to confidently say they will beat Colombia. So I don't think that game is 50-50. I think it's 70-30 in favor of Colombia. And then Cape Verde, like I mentioned, I think they stand no chance against Argentina, except an upset happens, because this is football we are talking about. Yeah. We can't say 100%. So to be realistic, I think, and then Algeria, we have a small matter of Algeria also. I think to be realistic, the Egyptians look like the only side that might join Morocco from the African continent.
All right, we see how that turns out for these other 4 teams: Algeria, there's Ghana, there's Cape Verde, and of course Egypt. Well, let's talk about Spain now. Spain have booked their place in the FIFA World Cup round of 16 with a commanding 3-0 victory over Austria in Los Angeles. There was Oyarzabal scoring a brace in that one, and Pedro Porro doubled the advantage with the 3rd goal in the 66 minutes. And of course, it was a 3-0 win for Spain. Goalkeeper Unai Simon set a new Spanish record for the longest run without conceding a World Cup goal, surpassing Iker Casillas, who had 476 consecutive minutes. Spain will now face either Portugal or Croatia in the round of 16 on the 6th of July. And talking about Portugal and Croatia, Ronaldo and Luka Modrić will make their history when the 2 of them face in the round of 32, becoming the first outfield players aged over 40 to oppose each other at the tournament. The former Real Madrid teammates once question persist over whether age has diminished their influence. Ronaldo became the first player to score at 6 World Cups, while Modrić recently earned his 200th appearance for Croatia as he chases another remarkable and a memorable knockout run. Now, China, looking at Ronaldo, who is 40, and of course, Luka Modrić, I know Nigeria have not qualified for 2 World Cups, and by the time Nigeria qualifies, if Nigeria qualifies for the next World Cup, the likes of Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman will be well in their early 30s. Do you think we will see these guys play long for Nigeria, maybe up until 40? Or should we just not expect anything from these young lads that we have now?
For the Nigerian players, I'm not sure any Nigerian will, I'm not sure for now that any Nigerian will play for the national team until 40. I'm not sure of that. And for obvious reasons, I'm not sure of that. But for players of Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman, they should be desperate to play in at least 1 World Cup before they retire. They should be. We have seen players in the past. Vincent Eyama did 3 World Cups, 2002, 2010, and 2014. He could have done 2018, which would have been his 4th World Cup, if not for that spark with Sunday Olise that led him to leaving the national team. He would have done 4 World Cups, but he did 3 World Cups. And that's the highest we have had from a Nigerian player, 3 World Cups. Okocha himself, too, did 3 World Cups. 94, 98. Okocha did 4 World Cups. Yeah, 4 World Cups. So, but getting to a 5th and maybe a 6th is going to be almost impossible for Nigerian players, or even getting up to 40 playing for the national team. I'm talking about 40 years on your passport. It's going to be almost impossible to play for the national team, and we all know why.
Well, maybe I will not ask the obvious reasons why these players will not get to make it through to playing at the World Cup. But yes, we know the obvious reasons why they will not make it through. But looking at the games that will go down later today, there's Portugal versus Croatia, and Switzerland will take on Algeria. Algeria needs to make Africa proud, to help us to keep our faces shining and smiling, and keeping our hopes alive as Africans to make it through to the round of 16, because we can't be falling apart like a pack of cards right there at the World Cup. Now, from there, let's talk about team updates. Ghana received a major boost ahead of their round of 32 clash against Colombia, with forward Antoine Semenyo expected to be fit despite suffering an ankle injury. The Manchester City attacker picked up a minor knock during Ghana's 2-1 defeat to Croatia, raising concerns over his availability. However, head coach Carlos Queiroz confirmed the injury is not serious, and Semenyo has responded well to treatment and is expected to be ready for the knockout encounter. Pius, Ghana versus Colombia. Any chance at all? I know you said only Algeria, or rather Egypt, stands a chance to make it through to the round of 16. But Ghana, don't you think they can hold their own against Colombia with exactly what Carlos Queiroz has been able to do with these Black Stars?
Well, I saw their first 3 games in this competition. I was quite disappointed in the way they played against Croatia, even though a lot of persons said they intentionally lost that game to to avoid some certain teams in the knockout stages. But yeah, if that was the excuse, maybe fair for the team, because at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do in order to go very far in the competition, right? But if anything is to actually work well for this Ghanaian side, I think they will probably have to create more chances. Even in this competition, we've seen that they can be quite solid in midfield and of course in defense. But up front, create more chances and of course utilize some of those chances. Probably will be a good one for Ghana, because again, I have seen this Colombian side, and it seemed like Portugal to face Colombia, and at the end of the game, Cristiano Ronaldo had to come out to, for Ronaldo, who had actually talked down on South American side, to now come and praise a South American side. It says a lot about how difficult they were to break down. The Colombians were very difficult against Portugal. They played that game as though they had not won anything in this competition. But before that game, they had won 2 games back to back. They probably just needed a draw in that game, and they almost won that game, like I mentioned earlier. All thanks to the controversial goal that was ruled out for offside and all of that. So I think the Ghanaians will have a lot to do on that day, because the Colombians they are fast, and of course, their first game they were not all that. They managed to grind out the result. Second game they improved. Third game against Portugal, they look like a different team entirely. And this is a knockout stage. They already understand the business. And again, this is a South American side. We've seen South American teams in this competition. We've seen how they've played. Maybe we can excuse Ecuador because, of course, Ecuador, for me, one of those teams, I felt like they were the underdogs coming into this competition, but they disappointed a lot. But the other South American side have actually been very good. Paraguay have been good. Brazil, Argentina, these guys have actually done well in this competition. So I think the Ghanaians will be they'll have a lot to do against Colombia. I don't envy them at this point. But all I'll just say is, for the sake of being African, I'll just wish them all the very best, and I really hope they can, pull through. But it will be a very difficult test for Ghana.
A difficult test for the Black Stars of Ghana right there. But as Africans, we will keep our fingers crossed and hope that they can survive the onslaught from Colombia and sail it through to the round of 16. We'll wait till that day when it comes. Let's go straight to Germany, as Julian Nagelsmann is reportedly on the verge of being dismissed as a head coach. Of course, following the team's shock round of 32 exit to Paraguay. German newspaper Bild claims that the 38-year-old has been offered severance package despite having a contract until 2028. Now, the German Football Association is expected to decide on its future within days after launching a review into the country's 3rd consecutive disappointing World Cup campaign. Now, former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp has emerged as a leading candidate to replace Nagelsmann, although he is currently serving as Red Bull's head of global football. China, plug and play for Jurgen Klopp. Just go ahead and be the coach. Who else would have done this apart from Jurgen Klopp? I mean, he's well experienced when it comes to the coaching role, but maybe he has not taken on a national team. But do you think he's the next best thing? Is a savior for German football?
About savior, I don't know. But I think it would be a good fit for him. When he quit Liverpool, he said he was tired of club football. He needed to take a break. And I don't see him going back to club football anytime soon, because true to his word, he wouldn't. But it's coaching at international level. Listen, when you look at the daily rigors of club football, coaching at international level is like semi-retirement for you. You only get to play games 7 times a year, the FIFA international breaks, and when you have tournaments. So it will be a good fit for him. And if he's picked eventually, I think it will be a near perfect decision by the German Federation. But again, the rumor mills always start like this when there's a coaching change or there's about to be a coaching change. What the rumor mills say and what eventually comes to pass are two different things. But if they go for a club, I'll look at it as a perfect fit for both him and the German national team.
All right, so let's take a look at the players. I mean, few players still playing active football right there in the tournament. Now, they are currently without clubs, making every performance a chance to secure their next move, if there'll be a next move. England defender John Stones, Brazil duo Casemiro and Fabinho, Austria captain David Alaba, Egypt star Mohamed Salah, Colombia playmaker James Rodriguez, Croatia veteran Luka Modrić, and Cape Verde goalkeeper Vozenia headline the list of free agents, while some, including Casemiro and Salah, are strongly linked with new clubs. Others remain uncertain about their future as they chase the World Cup success. They're also playing to impress potential employers ahead of the new season. Any of these players that you think can make a big move before they eventually call it quits from playing football? Looking at the likes of James Rodriguez, who is 34. There's Thomas Partey from Ghana, he's 32. There's John Stones, 32. There's David Alaba, 33. He has left Real Madrid. Vozenia is 40. Maybe he just might call it quits after this World Cup. Ronaldo is there as well. Luka Modrić is 40. Casemiro is 34. Do you see any of these players making a big move? I know you'd want to point out to maybe Mo Salah and maybe Casemiro.
I'm looking at the players. I'm looking at their ages, and I'm asking, I mean, what do you mean by a big move? What's a big move? And maybe Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
Maybe the MLS. But for Salah, he called it quits with Liverpool. Maybe the pace of the game was going too fast for him. So what's the big move for a 40-year-old Vozenia of Cape Verde? What's the big move for him? So I think that for these players, biggest move will be a big money move, but it can't be mainstream Europe. Really, I'll doubt that very much. So they're probably going to go to somewhere where they can make some money before they finally hang their boots. That'll be the biggest move they can get.
All right, we'll see how it turns out. I'm actually more interested in Vozenia, seeing what will happen to him after playing for Cape Verde and right here at the World Cup. I'd love to see what next would happen for. I'm sure he would get something that is bigger than what he's currently earning at the moment. But let's take a trip around the world and look at what the fans are saying. England supporters hoping to watch the Three Lions face Mexico in the round of 16 are being forced to pay at least £2,600 for a single ticket on FIFA's official resale platform. Demand for Sunday's clash at the iconic Estadio Azteca has driven prices to as much as 30 times face value, with limited tickets available after England's official allocation sold out months ago. Some premium seats are listed for more than $24,000 before fees. While accommodation in Mexico remains relatively affordable, soaring ticket prices have become the biggest obstacle for fans hoping to witness England's knockout showdown with the co-hosts. Let's listen to these fans. Fans in England will be able to watch the entire England-Mexico round of 16 in their local pub after the UK government approved extended opening hours until 5 a.m. on Monday. The decision marks a U-turn after ministers had initially ruled out further changes to the World Cup licensing laws. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said the move would benefit both supporters and pubs, joking that while football might be coming home, fans no longer have to. The match kicks off at 1 a.m. UK time and is expected to finish around 3 a.m. Pub industry leaders welcomed the announcement, calling pubs the ideal place to watch the Three Lions in action. Now, big one for the fans right there. But let's talk about this very emotional one. Iran's national team received the hero's welcome in Tehran despite their heartbreaking group stage exit from the World Cup. Hundreds of supporters gathered at the airport, waving flags and chanting as the players returned home after narrowly missing a historic place in the knockout rounds on goal difference. China, before I let you go, Iran played an emotional tournament from start till finish when they left, and they kept on preaching peace, love on the football pitch.
The Iranian players did not have to suffer for what their country was going through.
Exactly.
But they did. The players are not the ones who are having the international crisis, but they did suffer for it. And that's not what the World Cup is about. And if you're American, if you're the American president, you also see things from his point of view. You can always argue from both sides of the divide. But bottom line is that this was not the best way to host the World Cup from the Iranian point of view. So whatever the results turned out to be, the Iranian people will come out and cheer the national team for at least representing well in spite of what they went through, playing 3 games at the World Cup. Listen, they could have qualified for the next round, but they didn't. Doesn't matter. They enjoyed the World Cup and they're back to a hero's welcome, which is how it should be.
Exactly what it should be for the Iranians right there. And I'd say congratulations for how they performed. There was no issue of violence with the Iranians. We saw other teams who had violent cases, and police had to step in to put things in order. But for Iran, they're back to their countries and they've received a hero's welcome. Big one for the love and support that they got during the World Cup. I'd say thank you very much, Anna Cherry, for joining us on the show today, and also Pius Ahamba. Thank you for joining.